Am I the antagonist for ruining my mother-in-law's Mother's Day? My mother-in-law and I have never gotten along. She has a list of accusations against me. I don't cook. I treat her son terribly. I'm a manipulator. Because she wanted him to do something he didn't want to, and I told him to do it if he genuinely wants to, and not because he feels like he has to. I'm controlling, I'm a gold digger, I'm a liar and a prostitute. Everything. What have I done to her? I didn't say good morning once because she was with a client, and that was terribly rude of me not to say good morning while she was busy. I also put a lock on my door after she had snooped around. And now, well, that's what this post is about. So I am no contact, NC, with my mother-in-law. My dear husband, DH, is very, very low contact, LC, with her. They haven't spoken in a good while and don't have a good relationship. I am still upset about the things she has said to my husband in efforts to break us apart. I have spent the past year spending every holiday with my husband's family. For Mother's Day, I did not want to spend it with her. Luckily, my grandmother was coming into my neighborhood to visit my great-grandmother, meaning my family would be having a small get-together. They invited both me and my husband, who they treat as if he were their biological grandson. I asked my husband if we could go. He said I should go and spend time with my grandmothers and how his family is planning their own party as well. Now, here's where I might be the one at fault. I asked him if he could please come with me, how my grandmothers really want to see him, and that they prepared a lot of food. I know they will be sending us home with bags filled with leftovers because that's just how they are. He was hesitant about going. He mentioned how his sister would be at the party with her 3 kids, and he wanted to see them. I told him that I understood, but that we can see his family anytime, no matter when, and how my grandmother drove an hour to be in the neighborhood. I also mentioned how we have spent every holiday with his family, and I wanted to spend this one with mine. In the end, he agreed, and we had a wonderful time with my family. We ate a lot, and this was the first family event he has been to from my side. He finally saw why I tend to be a bit loud because everyone in my family is very talkative and loud. It was great. However, his mother was absolutely upset that she didn't receive any gifts or a Happy Mother's Day from her son. Because of everything going on, he had forgotten to send a Happy Mother's Day message to his mother. She's saying she's emotionally damaged and how her son has changed so much since being with me. Now I'm feeling guilty because I knew she would be mad if we spent it with my family. I knew he would forget to send a message, and I knew this would hurt her. Yesterday, I was kind of glad it did, but now I'm not so sure if I should have stooped down to her level. If your intention behind celebrating with your family was simply to spend time with them, then you're not in the wrong here. It's unfair to blame yourself for something your husband forgot to do. He's a grown adult after all. If his mother is being petty over his absent-mindedness, maybe he should rethink his relationship with her. Am I the antagonist for kicking my child's partner out? My 38-year-old daughter started dating this guy, 23-year-old male, 3 years ago. Last year, she found out she was pregnant. She wasn't living here at the time. I told her that she should come home and she said she wouldn't move in without him, so we let them and their dog move in. We charged $400 a month. Our only rule was that he needed to have a job. He had issues keeping a job in the past, so we knew we had to make that known right away. He did not get a job by the time they had to move in. My husband, her stepdad, was not happy. It took him a while to find a job, and he never kept one for long. At one point, I gave him a 2-week deadline, and when he still wasn't working, I told them he had to go. He found a job that day, and we decided to give him another chance. I cut their rent in half in exchange for her watching her siblings before and after school and helping to keep the house clean. I only wanted the dishes done daily and the house generally picked up. She initially agreed but began not holding up her end of the deal. She stayed in the basement, only coming up to tell her siblings to clean the house. She was having them do her chores. A few weeks ago, they decided that they were going to stay the night at his parents' house and take the dog with them. While they were there, something happened to the dog's back legs, and they needed to get him pet insurance to take him to the vet. She didn't have the money, so she asked a few people to borrow it. They got the money from his brother. However, they never ended up going to the vet because the insurance wasn't immediate. So they stayed at his parents' house for 9 days, and her boyfriend had taken the entire time off work to care for the dog, which confused me because there wasn't anything they could do for him. I was concerned that they borrowed money with no intent to pay it back in a timely manner. They were also $100 short for rent. I started noticing him posting on Facebook asking people if they needed scrap removed, so I don't believe he has a job anymore. She wasn't doing what was agreed upon around the house, and he wasn't working, so I decided it was time for him to go. I told her that she and the baby were welcome to stay, but she wouldn't stay without him, so they are now staying at his parents' house for $200 a month. They sleep on separate couches in the living room because there are 10 people living there. They had an entire basement to themselves while living here. She's not speaking to me and says her boyfriend will probably never speak to me again because we never treated him like family. Which baffles me because between my husband and me, we have gotten him 4 different jobs, allowed him to live in our home, and put him on our phone plan. They paid their portion, among other things. Sounds like she and the baby will eventually be back with you, as long as she knows that he ain't part of the package. They moved in a fit of pique instead of meeting their agreed upon responsibilities. TBH, you have set the bar really low, and if they persist with this attitude, it's going to be very, very difficult to raise their child. Tough love sucks, but I don't think you have a choice. You gave them clear conditions and they weren't holding up their end. Not the antagonist for giving them multiple chances, it's their fault for not listening. Am I the antagonist for getting frustrated over my cousin buying a car? I, 23 years old female, am a part of a peculiar family. My grandfather owns a small yet successful company, and there always seem to be arguments over the said company. My mother is the middle child out of 3 kids, all girls. We never asked for anything from my grandfather and just made ends meet on our own accord for as long as I can remember. However, ever since I was little, my grandfather promised that he would pay for my tuition to study abroad. I even had a university fund created by him. It was always taken as a fact by the whole family. I studied really hard for years and finally got accepted to a prestigious United Kingdom university. I studied there for a year, but at the end of my first year, my grandfather suddenly told me he would no longer be paying for my university and forced me to come back to my home country. I was heartbroken, to say the least. I had to reapply to a university here and was miserable for the next 4 years. Fast forward 4 years and I graduated. A month later, I learned my grandfather bought a car for my 14-year-old cousin. The legal driving age is 18 here. Mind you, the car is an expensive model and it's not even for him to drive. It's so that he can paint the doors, etc. I just froze and started making a few snappy comments. They kept telling me that my cousin saved half of the money for the car and the other half was given by my grandfather. But this is a luxury car. It was not a simple Honda. We are talking about a Tesla, and it made no sense how a 14-year-old kid, without working a day in his life, could possibly save up that amount of money. When I questioned it more, they only got more and more angry. It might be childish, but I started to cry in front of them and argued back and forth. It ended with me yelling, if he could have done this, why didn't he pay for my education? My grandparents are old, and I felt horrible. I love them to bits, but I'm so angry at them. I don't know if I have the right to be angry. My school in the UK was an expensive one. It was £36,000 a year due to me being an international student. My father paid half, and my grandfather paid half for the first year. The car they bought for my cousin is well over £50,000. My grandmother did not talk to me for 3 days after this ordeal, and generally everyone agreed that I was in the wrong for getting frustrated. That's the part I fail to understand. I'm told I come off very heated in arguments, but I feel like I have the right to be angry here. I'm not sure though. So am I the jerk for getting frustrated over my 14-year-old cousin buying a car? Not the antagonist. Your grandparents clearly have a biased view favoring your 14-year-old cousin over you, and it's unfair. It seems like they value him more, regardless of his actions. It might be time to distance yourself from these toxic dynamics for your own well-being. It's great that you've managed to finish your education despite the challenges you've faced. Just remember, your worth is not defined by how others treat you. Am I the antagonist for being disappointed in my 40th birthday? I turned 40 years old on Saturday. My husband turns 40 in a few weeks as well. We have a 5-year-old child. I am not one for big birthday celebrations. I have never had a party. But this year, I've been dropping hints to my husband that turning 40 feels like a significant milestone. Perhaps it's worthy of a few different ways to mark the occasion, etc. My husband is an appalling gift buyer, so with 2 months' notice, I gave him a very specific list of things he could consider buying me, complete with links of where to purchase them, mostly all from Amazon. He was very generous and bought several items on the list. For context, I earn 2.5 times my husband's salary, so it's not really about the cost, it's the thought behind it. However, my actual birthday was underwhelming. There was no fuss, no breakfast in bed, no evening meal out, not even a balloon. I woke up early, and my child joined me in bed to watch cartoons. I opened my presents. We took our child to the park and then had lunch at a restaurant. The location was chosen by my husband as it was somewhere we could tire our child out afterwards. Even my mother couldn't be bothered to visit me. I had to go down to see her. She lives a 20-minute drive away. That was it, pretty much like every Saturday. We even stopped at the supermarket on the way home to get pet food and spent the evening on the sofa watching TV. There was no spontaneity, no surprises, not even a homemade birthday card from my child. My husband did arrange for a lovely birthday cake to be made, but with fresh cream, which aggravates my IBS. I can't tell him that as he was so proud, he arranged a cake. But after 15 years together, I had had higher expectations. On Sunday, I woke up to the usual chores of washing, supermarket shopping, cleaning the house. This really upset me as I had imagined at least a low-key birthday weekend where we could do something different. Maybe arrange a babysitter and have Sunday to ourselves? He went swimming while I did the shopping. I couldn't hide my disappointment, and last night I told my husband I was sorry I hadn't marked my 40th in a more spectacular way. I wasn't looking for a party or fancy dinners, but something to make the occasion feel different, more than just a regular birthday. He said how hurtful my comments were given all his efforts and how difficult it had been hunting down presents, arranging a cake, and trying to manage guess what I really wanted for my birthday. In contrast, for my husband's 30th, I arranged a day of surprises then flew into Paris for a long weekend. His 40th is coming up, and I'm planning another day of surprises, a celebratory weekend, with a week-long family holiday later in the year too. I feel surprisingly disappointed by the whole thing. Am I the a-hole? I think I am the a-hole. AITA. I did receive lovely presents, and it's hard to plan with a small child in tow, but honestly, it has left me feeling so blue and underwhelmed. Not the antagonist. Communication is key in any relationship, especially when it comes to special occasions like birthdays. It's important for partners to ask for input and plan accordingly, rather than expecting mind-reading abilities. Your husband did a great job by asking what you wanted for your 40th birthday and taking care of all the details, even navigating potential obstacles. Plus, it's definitely a bonus if he can also be considerate of your health conditions like IBS. Am I the antagonist for walking out of my family member's house on a special occasion, even though they recently experienced a loss because they were disrespectful to my spouse? My sister died 6 months ago, so yesterday was my mom's first Mother's Day after the loss of one of her children, and the child who made her a mom at that. I, 24-year-old male, wanted to make it special for my mom, and my wife was more than happy to help me, even though Mother's Day is rough for her because she did not have a good or even a try as her best mother. So the day is a painful reminder that my wife did not ever have a healthy maternal figure in her life. Father's Day is similar, but she never knew her father and never had a good father figure either. My wife still wanted to help make my mom's first Mother's Day without my sister special. We went around getting all my mom's favorite things: favorite flowers, ice cream, chocolate, a reservation for her favorite restaurant, a scarf in her favorite color because scarves are her favorite thing ever. We also compiled a little video of my sister. Mom talked about Mother's Day being more difficult without her and wanting to watch some home movies of her, so we did something special with that. My wife also helped me recreate a dance I did for my mom on Mother's Day when I was a kid because she talked about that a lot. Basically, it was just meant to show how much we love her and help her through this not-so-easy Mother's Day. My wife played a very big role. She even suggested bringing breakfast to my mom and serving her breakfast in bed. Yesterday morning came, we made my mom's favorite breakfast and brought it to her at her and dad's place. After she came out of her room is when things went downhill. Mom saw my wife and asked what she was doing there and did not look like she wanted my wife there. It surprised me because my wife was with us last year too. Mom was grumbling and hostile to my wife. I told Mom that we had planned some special things for her. This did not change anything, and she told me she did not want my wife there. Then she told my wife she had no right to intrude, and why would she want her there? My wife said she was sorry, she had not wanted to upset her. I told Mom that she was being rude, and it was not right to take her sadness out on my wife. Mom said she just wanted us to spend Mother's Day as a family, and I told her that my wife is family. My mother grumbled, and Dad asked me to lay off. My wife said it was fine, but then Mom started on my wife a few minutes later, after she had opened most of her gifts, and she said she was tired of her being here and her own mother had not even wanted her, so why did she think she would be welcome? That was too much for me. I told Mom I should have left earlier, but I wanted to be understanding and supportive, but she had crossed the line, and I was done. That she could celebrate Mother's Day without us. My wife and I left. She felt bad, and I told her not to, and I apologized for not leaving sooner. She told me I did not need to leave, and I told her I did. Mom and Dad both texted me countless times yesterday, saying I should go back, and how could I abandon Mom after she lost my sister? Am I the asshole? Not the antagonist. Your mother's grief doesn't give her a free pass to mistreat others. The things she said to your wife were beyond unacceptable. It's important to set boundaries until she seeks therapy and genuinely changes her behavior. Prioritize your wife's well-being, and don't let your mother's actions hurt her further. Stand by your wife and make it clear to your mom that her behavior is not okay. Am I the antagonist for refusing to eat what my partner's mother made for us? Just for some quick context, both me and my girlfriend have Caribbean ancestry. The main difference between us is that she embraces her heritage and I don't. Growing up, my girlfriend had a lot of Guyanese food that her mom would make, and her mom would often give us a lot of the food she cooks. Something else I have to mention as well is that I have avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, RFID. My girlfriend and her mom know this. Anyways, on Saturday I cooked us 7 days worth of food, and I was very proud of what I made. My girlfriend's mom came over on Sunday to spend Mother's Day with us, and she brought this dish she made. Honestly, looking at it, I knew right away I wasn't going to like it. It was okra submerged in what looked like a very thick, viscous white soup. I didn't ask what it was called, but it's something my girlfriend has had a few times. We sat down to dinner, and I put out my food and my girlfriend's mom's food. During dinner, my girlfriend was trying to get me to try her mom's food. Not wanting to be rude, I told her I'd try it. I put a spoonful in my mouth, and it was probably one of the most foul things I had ever put in my mouth. I made sure to get as much okra as I could just so I could have something to chew, but it didn't help much. My girlfriend looked at her mom and said, "He doesn't like it," and I just said, "I just don't think it's for me." My girlfriend's mom was cool about it, and my girlfriend told me that I should try it with the food I made. I told her that I didn't want to do it, and her mom said I'd probably like it a bit more if I combined the food together. Again, to be nice, I tried it with a spoonful of my food and hers, and it was still the same. Her mom said, "Well, at least you tried." This morning as my girlfriend was getting ready for work, she told me that what I did last night was rude. I asked her what I did wrong. She told me that when a guest brings food to your house, it is customary to eat their food and not your own. I was also making faces. I didn't know I was doing this. That made it look like I was in pain eating her mom's food. Lastly, she told me I insulted her culture by doing that. I asked her what she expected me to do. I tried it, didn't like it, and got pressured into trying more. If I don't like something, I'm not going to like it. She then told me that my parents didn't do me any favors by keeping me from my cultural food. I got really mad that she took a dig at me and my parents like that, and I told her to leave and that I wouldn't be talking to her for the rest of the day. I knew I was going to do some tit for tat, but I know it's not conducive to a healthy relationship. Not the antagonist. Your girlfriend was completely out of line for pressuring you to try food you didn't like in front of your mother and then getting mad when you didn't enjoy it. It's important to respect people's food preferences, and you were polite in declining to eat more. Her comments about your parents were uncalled for, and expecting you to eat something you dislike just to be polite is unreasonable. Sounds like your girlfriend needs to learn some manners. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.